Learning English, Intermediate Grammar, Modal Verbs in Passive Voice. Hey there, English learners! Welcome to another exciting lesson in our series on intermediate grammar. In today's video, we will dive into the world of modal verbs in passive voice. Understanding how to use modal verbs in passive sentences is essential for expressing different levels of possibility, ability, and obligation. So, let's get started. Before we explore how to use modal verbs in passive sentences, let's quickly recap what passive voice is. In English, we have active voice and passive voice. In active voice, the subject performs the action, while in passive voice, the subject receives the action. The structure of a passive sentence is subject plus auxiliary verb plus past participle plus by plus agent, optional. For example, active voice, the chef cooked a delicious meal. Passive voice, a delicious meal was cooked by the chef. Remember, using passive voice can shift the focus from the subject to the object or make the sentence sound more formal or impersonal. Now that we have a good grasp of passive voice, let's explore how to incorporate modal verbs into passive sentences. Modal verbs, such as can, could, may, might, must, should, ought to, will, and would, can add an extra layer of meaning to the passive construction. Expressing ability or possibility. Modal verbs can be used in passive voice to express ability or possibility. Here are a few examples. English can be spoken all over the world. The car could be repaired by a mechanic. The meeting may be cancelled due to bad weather. Remember, when using modal verbs in passive sentences, the main verb remains in its base form, infinitive, after the modal verb. Expressing obligation or necessity. Modal verbs in passive voice can also convey obligation or necessity. Take a look at these examples. The report must be submitted by tomorrow. The assignment should be completed before the deadline. Visitors ought to be accompanied by a guide. Modal verbs in passive voice can be particularly useful when assigning responsibility or emphasizing the importance of an action. Expressing permission or requests. Modal verbs in passive sentences can also be used to express permission or make requests. Consider these examples. Bicycles may not be brought inside the building. Could I be helped with this problem, please? Would the door be held open for me? Using modal verbs in passive voice allows us to be more polite and formal when making requests or granting permission. Congratulations! You've made it through our lesson on using modal verbs in passive voice. Now you have a solid understanding of how to incorporate modal verbs into passive sentences to express ability, possibility, obligation, necessity, permission, and requests. Remember to pay attention to the structure of passive voice and keep practicing to become more fluent in using modal verbs. Keep up the great work, and soon you'll master this important aspect of English grammar. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next lesson.